In 2006, Atlas Core was founded to address critical social issues by developing leaders, strengthening organizations, and promoting innovations through an overseas fellowship and virtual learning programs of skilled professionals from around the world. Our community began with an inaugural class of 6 fellows who hailed from Colombia and India. In 15 years, Atlas Core has empowered 1,000 leaders from 104 countries, partnered with 300 host organizations, US embassies, and our network of supporters to multiply impact domestically and worldwide. Atlas Core leaders represent the richness of diversity, inclusion, and cultural awareness. Now, more than ever, we need to keep building bridges between social change leaders from around the world. During our 15th anniversary year, Atlas Core continues to engage social change leaders as fellows and virtual scholars. Our fellows serve in the United States and virtually from their home regions. Virtual scholars enhance their professional skills, build global networks, and prepare for leadership in home communities during our Virtual Leadership Institute, a new online leadership development program launched by Atlas Core in 2020. This year, we invite you to celebrate with us our 15th anniversary. Thank you for supporting our community of global changemakers. Thank you for supporting Atlas Core.
Hello out there. My name is Zachary Morris, and I'm the Senior Manager of Global Engagement here at Atlas Core. And I'm here today with 2 special guests. We have Mark Zimmer, who's the Public Affairs Officer at the U.S. Embassy in Abidjan in Côte d'Ivoire, and Emmanuel Bama, who's from Mali, who is an alum of our Virtual Leadership Institute. I'm so very excited to have them here today. Welcome, Emmanuel and Mark. Perfect. Well, I'm going to go ahead and bring them back to the stream in a bit. I'm going to go ahead and start off by talking about a very special initiative for emerging social impact professionals from Côte d'Ivoire to participate in an innovative leadership development program. We'll be taking questions at the end, so feel free to write your questions in the comment section, and we will answer them afterwards. Perfect. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. For those of you who may be unfamiliar with what we do at Atlas Core, I'm going to go ahead and talk about it a little bit. Atlas Core engages talented global professionals committed to social change in leadership development programs. Our classic program that we've been operating for 15 years is 12 to 18 months, a professional fellowship serving with U.S. host organizations, either in the United States, either in person or online. Last year, we launched a new program called Virtual Leadership Institute to continue and deepen our engagement with global change makers, even while travel is difficult. Atlas Core believes in the power of helping rising leaders throughout the world to connect across borders, whether online or in person. Now we're recruiting social impact leaders from Côte d'Ivoire for this special initiative with our virtual leadership program. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the Côte d'Ivoire Emerging Leaders Initiative is. It's an online global community to empower social impact leaders known as Atlas Core Scholars. There are 3 elements, and those are 5 learning modules, professional development electives, and a leadership project. And throughout this webinar, we will be going into all of them. Now, with this initiative, we will engage 5 professionals from Côte d'Ivoire and strengthen the capacity of these emerging professionals to create positive social change in Côte d'Ivoire, including contributing to an inclusive, democratically engaged, healthy, peaceful, and prosperous country, while strengthening ties between the United States and Côte d'Ivoire to increase cooperation in these areas. I'm going to go ahead and bring our partner, Mark, back to the live stream so he can give a couple of remarks about this initiative. So welcome, Mark, again. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Zachary. Good to be with you. We appreciate the chance to partner with Atlas Corps from here at the embassy in Abidjan. We're partnering for the first time in recent history, at least, and we're excited about the opportunity to pick some great leaders, upcoming leaders, from the tremendous crop of youth here in Côte d'Ivoire. We're very proud of our exchange programs. We have a very high priority on picking the best and the brightest of those in Côte d'Ivoire to do the various programs that we sponsor. We're extremely proud of our alumni network of almost 2,400 Ivorians who have done various exchange initiatives, as I noted. So we're thrilled to have the chance to partner with Atlas Corps in this year's crop of the participants in the Virtual Leadership Institute. Among our priorities in Côte d'Ivoire are the youth, leadership, and partnership, and those are the things that we're investing in terms of partnering with Atlas Corps on this project. So thank you again for having me on today for the launch of the recruiting process. We look forward to some excellent candidates. Thanks, Zachary.
Great. Thank you so much for, again, joining us today and for giving your remarks. We very much look forward and are excited for this partnership to benefit the country. Amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and go a little bit into more detail about our initiative. The goal of our Leadership Institute is to prepare scholars for leadership in their communities and to create empowered, train, and network individuals as the most effective means to address critical social issues on local and global levels. What will scholars gain as benefits in this program? They'll gain knowledge of effective practices to advance social change and promote inclusive democracy, peace, health, and prosperity. They'll connect with other international and U.S. business, government, and civil society leaders and organizations to promote increased mutual understanding and collaboration during this initiative. And they'll have access to the most promising leadership projects and funding for those projects as determined by a selection panel. Now, what you see here on the screen is a snapshot of an amazing community of Atlas Corps fellows and scholars that you'd be joining through participation in this initiative. We have over 1,100 social change leaders from 110 countries. Now, one aspect of our Virtual Leadership Institute that I touched on before are the what we call modules. Our institute curriculum is based on these modules of orientation, developing self, developing others, leading movements, and reflection. These modules will enable you to explore in a different aspect of your leadership development journey. Key elements of each module include a keynote speaker, interactive workshops, self-led activities, peer coaching groups, and community building activities. Now, we have both electives and activities that you'll be taking at your own pace through a learning management platform that we use, Canvas. And you'll have the opportunity to go through these online activities associated with developing self, developing others, and leading movements. And while some activities are required, you'll be able to customize your schedule by which electives that you select. These are just examples of some of the activities within 3 of our modules, and you'll typically have about 3 to 4 weeks to complete each module. And within that period, you'll be able to work through the activities on your own schedule. You'll also be able to engage with other scholars in online discussions about these activities. So not only are you reflecting on these different dimensions, but you also interact with other scholars via discussion boards or even scheduling coffee chats with them. I personally love the session on emotional intelligence, as I think it's essential to leadership that you understand how emotions affect yourself and how you respond to emotions in others. And I'm sure Emmanuel, who we'll have later on, will talk about some of the activities that he really enjoyed participating in throughout the Leadership Institute. Now, another aspect of the Virtual Leadership Institute is the Leadership Project. Each scholar will design a leadership project, an activity, training, or venture to be implemented in Côte d'Ivoire that promotes youth engagement, inclusive democracy, public health, entrepreneurship, and or inclusive economic development in the country. We'll also establish a community impact fund that will provide financial support for the most promising leadership projects as determined by a selection panel. So not only will you be developing your leadership skills as through our different modules, but you're able to work on a leadership project that will help you create change in your community. Now going into a little bit more detail about the leadership project, you'll design, you'll research, and you'll enhance it throughout the initiative with the goal of consolidate all of the learning, practice, and leadership skills and exercising the capacity that you develop. Some examples of leadership projects that we've had done by scholars in the past are health and nutrition, so maternal health, education, and environment and land rights. The leadership project can be an existing activity or a new activity. So one, for example, an activity that you're really just started and are trying to get off the ground. It should have an impact on your community. So some sort of social aim is really important for our leadership project. And we'll also have the opportunity for you to join our peer coaching groups. And what those are smaller groups of scholars led by an Atlas Corps group captain that meet once a month to talk about your leadership project. You'll be able to get feedback and support from your peer coaching group throughout the process as you're developing your leadership project. And now, here are some details on applying for our initiative. So you can go to our website, cdi.atlascorp.org. Our priority deadline is October 31st. And our program dates are estimated to be February to August 2022. And talking a little bit more about the eligibility requirements is that you need to be a citizen of Côte d'Ivoire and currently residing there. We're looking for leaders that are between age 22 to 35, having a bachelor's degree, and at least 2 years of social impact experience. That can be either in a nonprofit, in the private sector, with the government. It's widely open to interpretation. Additionally, English proficiency is important since the Institute will be in English primarily, and you'll be interacting with other scholars from around the world. It's important to have technology for video calls, and then availability for about 3 to 5 hours per week to engage with these different virtual activities and components. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and bring Emmanuel back in. All right, Emmanuel, welcome. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you, Zachary?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here today on our live stream. You know, I know you're from Mali, but you're living in Côte d'Ivoire, so that's very exciting. Right in the country where we intend to have scholars from for this exciting initiative.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I have a couple of questions for you so that our viewers today can get to know you better. So my first is, I'd just love to hear more about your background, such as what you currently do and what attracted you to that field.
Okay, thank you, Zachary, for giving me this great opportunity to share my feedback about Atlas Corp Virtual Leadership Institute. So I will answer your question in French, but it is recommend a strong English proficiency to participate in this program. Ok, let's go. Euh, je suis Emmanuel Bama, ingénieur en sciences informatiques, passionné des technologies et le développement numérique. Voilà, je suis au cœur de nombreuses initiatives telles que OpenStreetMap Côte d'Ivoire, qui est une communauté active dans la cartographie numérique libre, et également Data Transport, qui est une organisation à but non lucratif qui travaille à améliorer la mobilité africaine à travers les données. Je suis présentement cofondateur et project manager d'un intégrateur de services TIC appelé Open Digitech. Je fais également des consultances auprès d'organisations internationales en tant que spécialiste en cartographie et système d'information. Voilà. Le métier d'éthique, en fait, je l'embrassais déjà parce que je suis passionné par l'éthique. Ce qui est plus intéressant avec l'éthique, lorsque vous avez une idée, c'est plus facile, en fait, de transformer cette idée-là en action, en fait. Voilà. Donc, c'est plus la passion pour l'éthique voilà, qui m'a le plus poussé à m'investir dans les technologies. Ok, merci. Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you so much. Now, I'd love to hear more about why you applied for the Virtual Leadership Institute.
Ok. J'ai postulé à ce programme car c'était une opportunité pour moi en fait d'acquérir de nouvelles compétences pour me faire grandir en tant que leader et rendre plus pérennes mes initiatives en ayant en fait des impacts sociaux très positifs. De même, c'était également une opportunité pour moi d'être en connexion avec des entrepreneurs et des experts du monde entier. Voilà. Donc, ce sont ces raisons qui m'ont poussé en fait à postuler pour le programme Virtual Leadership Institute. Voilà. Donc, ce sont ces raisons. Merci. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you. Now I'd love to hear about some of the highlights of your participation in the Virtual Leadership Institute. So what I mean by that is like, what was a great experiences that you can share with us?
Okay, about my experience. Okay, entre mes expériences concernant le programme, ce qui m'a le plus marqué déjà, c'est que au niveau du programme, en fait, c'est un programme qui est très structuré et de très, très, très bonne qualité. Donc, je peux citer différents points. On a par exemple un point qu'on appelle le Peer Coaching Group Call. Voilà, avec ça, par exemple, c'est une occasion d'échanger entre entrepreneurs et également de bénéficier de l'appui d'un expert. Voilà, donc pour ce volet. Ensuite, on a le volet également Module Leadership Project. Là, par exemple, c'est une activité qui demande beaucoup de temps en termes d'investissement. Ce qui est intéressant, en fait, avec ça, c'est que les activités sont faites de telle sorte que vous allez élaborer un document très structuré de votre programme. C'est bon, un document très structuré. Avec ce document-là, c'est très possible, par exemple, d'implémenter votre projet, si c'était une idée. Si c'était un projet déjà en marche, c'est une opportunité, en fait, de mieux restructurer Également, ce qui est intéressant, vous allez produire un document viable qui peut également vous permettre de, si possible, avoir des financements, qui peut vous permettre également de booster, comment on appelle ça, la mise en œuvre de votre projet. Voilà, un autre point marquant, c'est la connexion avec plusieurs entrepreneurs et leaders du monde. Voilà. Il faut dire que il y a, nous, dans notre programme, il y avait plus d'une quarantaine de leaders déjà du monde entier. Donc déjà, c'est déjà un premier réseau. Vous créez un premier réseau pour être en connexion avec ces entrepreneurs-là, bénéficier de leur retour d'expérience et bien d'autres. Également, ce qui est encore plus marquant, c'est l'interaction avec des experts américains. Voilà, ça c'est quelque chose d'assez très intéressant. Voilà, par exemple, au début de chaque module, il y a un lancement. On fait un lancement. Donc pendant ce lancement-là, on invite par exemple un expert de ce domaine-là, voilà, qui vient en fait partager ses retours d'expérience. Et également, on a la possibilité en fait de contacter directement cet expert-là pour nous appuyer. Donc, ce sont des points qui m'ont vraiment marqué en fait dans ce programme-là. OK, thank you. Next.
Great. Well, thank you so much. And I know you mentioned various aspects of the Institute, talking about the leadership project and entrepreneurship. So that's very exciting. So next, I'd love to talk, if you could talk more about one of those VLI activities that you enjoyed participating in. So if there was one particular module or just self-paced activity on Canvas that you enjoyed participating in, if you could talk to that and what you learned about leadership in it.
Okay. I enjoyed participating in the strategy for personal resilience. J'étais très content en fait de participer, de prendre part à l'activité stratégie sur la résilience. Pourquoi? Parce que en fait, la résilience, c'est la capacité à rebondir après des échecs ou des réveils. Voilà, les leaders résilients sont capables de maintenir leur énergie dans des situations de haute pression, de faire face à des situations perturbatrices et de faire preuve de flexibilité au milieu des défis. À travers ce programme, nous avons été outillés pour rebondir face à des difficultés qu'on rencontre ou qu'on rencontrera tout au long de notre parcours d'entrepreneur. Voilà. Cela a été très bénéfique parce que nous, on a fait ce programme dans la période où la pandémie de la COVID-19 était très, très active en fait, où presque tous les secteurs d'activité étaient touchés, tout était vraiment à l'arrêt en fait. Donc, ce module principalement nous a outillés en fait à pouvoir rebondir en fait face aux différents challenges, aux blocages, aux défis en fait. Voilà, et de nous permettre de pouvoir nous adapter à la situation, d'être flexible et partir de l'avant. Voilà, donc ça c'est l'un des modules qui m'a beaucoup marqué. Bon, je vais citer un autre qui est le module sur l'intelligence émotionnelle. Voilà, c'est un module également qui est très, très indispensable pour les leaders, déjà, pour arriver en fait à s'adapter, pour arriver à vraiment conduire ces projets vers les objectifs en fait. Voilà, moi, ce sont ces deux modules, notamment stratégie sur la résilience et le module sur l'intelligence émotionnelle. Merci à tous. Voilà. Zachary, it's okay.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, Great to hear about how that specific activity really fortified you, and how it's important for being an entrepreneur. Resilience is very important. So thank you so much. Great. Well, Emmanuel, is there anything else that you wanted to add about the Virtual Leadership Institute that we haven't touched upon yet?
Bon, ce que j'aimerais dire en fait, c'est vraiment de vous encourager au niveau de la Côte d'Ivoire à vraiment postuler pour ce programme parce que c'est un programme qui est très très intéressant, très bien fait. Et surtout le contenu. Moi, c'est surtout le contenu, les activités, les interactions, voilà, les interactions entre entrepreneurs, les interactions entre les experts. Et également, c'est l'opportunité également d'intégrer un réseau, voilà, le réseau d'Atlas Corps, également pour être à l'afflux des opportunités. Voilà. Donc moi, je ne peux que vous encourager, voilà, à postuler pour ce programme qui est très, très enrichissant. Voilà, merci.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, if you have any questions about the Virtual Leadership Institute, I invite you now to put your those questions in the chat so that either I or Emmanuel can answer. We're very much happy to do so. But I am going to now go a little bit more into the application process. And I love seeing a couple people from Côte d'Ivoire leaving comments. If you have a specific question, feel free to put that there. So going to go ahead and share my screen again and to tell you a little bit more about the application process. All right, perfect. So here are some application tips to keep in mind as you are applying for this Virtual Leadership Institute. One important thing to note is that when you're applying for the Virtual Leadership Institute, you can also simultaneously apply to become a fellow. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But one important aspect of the application is to be specific and to provide examples. Now, what do we mean by that? When we ask you to explain why you're interested in this program, we don't want you to just say that you want to gain skills. We want you to think about the specifics. What skills? When you're talking about experience addressing critical social issues, give examples of responsibilities, accomplishments, and specific policies you've worked on or advocacy you've done within your skill and social issue area. That's really important. You also, again, want to highlight your experience addressing social issues. There are numerous different careers that could make you a good fit for this program. It doesn't just have to be with a nonprofit. It could be in the private sector if you're doing corporate social responsibility. It could be with the government. So really think about how your experience can fit into social impact. But again, it's very broad in terms of the organizations that you've worked with, who's eligible for this fellowship. Now, something that's really important is to practice before recording your video. So when you submit the application, you will have the option to record a video of why you're interested in the Virtual Leadership Institute. Definitely try practicing before you select your final video to upload to our application system. Another aspect that's important would be to check your spelling and grammar. The program is conducted only in English, and we don't require an English test like TOEFL or another one. Your application needs to demonstrate that you would be fluent enough to be able to participate in the peer coaching groups and to be able to understand and complete the activities in the curriculum. Again, your application should be well written and professional, and I do recommend that you have a friend proofread it if you can. There's also this great website called Grammarly, and I think that you can use that too to enhance your application and check your spelling and grammar. Now, my final application tip is to write a strong 1-paragraph bio. This is the first essay question of the application. So when our selection board is reading your application, this is your very first impression of you. We've provided instructions of what to include in your bio. So I really do suggest that you take the time to read those instructions, to read the example, and to craft a strong bio that introduces you to the selection board, to your fellow scholars for the Virtual Leadership Institute. So those are some of the application tips that I have. And again, your work experience should highlight, what past skills you have and really your experience in the social impact sector. That is one of the most crucial parts of your application. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. I'm going to see if we have any questions in the chat. So I have one that I see here, and it's from Alir, and he's asking if he'd be ineligible for the program if he were 35 years and 2 months. So you would not. If you are 35 and applying, and 35 by the time you start the program, then you are eligible for this program. So we anticipate starting the program in around February, so you would be eligible. So again, you must be under 36 by the time we start the program, which is estimated to be in about February. So happy to answer that. Yes, so I see another question here about how many participants that will be selecting from Côte d'Ivoire. We will specifically be selecting 5 participants for this Côte d'Ivoire Emerging Leaders Initiative. However, we will have scholars that aren't necessarily under this initiative who may also be eligible to be selected. And that could include scholars from any country as part of our general application process. So that may also be a possibility. But for this specific initiative and for the funding for the leadership projects, it will be 5 people, 5 citizens from the Ivory Coast. Yes. Perfect. Let me see what other questions we have here. I see a remark from Jean-Marc Mercy. They explain that they don't meet the eligibility requirements, but they would like to contribute as a facilitator on one of the leadership modules, and if that's possible. It could be possible. If you're interested in facilitating a session, feel free to send us an email at applied-atlascore.org. We do have very specific requirements and sort of what we look for in facilitation. But, happy to hear more from you if you contact us at applied-atlascore.org. All right, let's see. So another question that I'd like to answer about the Virtual Leadership Institute is go a little bit more into the time commitment and what that requires. So Atlas Core scholars should expect to spend approximately 3 to 5 hours per week on online activities and assignments over 4 months. So the entire institute is 7 months, but our 3 core modules of developing self, developing others, and leading movements, that would be a much over that 4-month period. And then we also have a reflection and orientation module at the end. Now, what we mean by live and asynchronous sessions is that you'll have some sessions that are not that are self-paced through our curriculum and institute platform, and then other assignments that are live sessions that you'll join and you'll hear live from a speaker, or you'll get in your peer coaching groups, which are also live. Additionally, yes, Alir, I just wanted to clarify again, if you are 35 years old, you are eligible for the program, even if you're 35 years and 2 months. Now, when are live sessions going to take place? And what if you have time conflicts during the live sessions? Well, our goal is that scheduled video calls are held between 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. in any given time zone to accommodate participants across numerous time zones. We do finalize the exact time zones closer to the start of the Institute, and our call times are subject to change as we analyze participants' time zones and attendance. So while scholars are encouraged to attend live sessions to better make those new connections with Atlas Core community, they will have access to recordings of the sessions if they're unable to attend live. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the fellowship. So while this call was focused on becoming an Atlas Core scholar under this Emerging Leaders Initiative, we also have the Atlas Core Fellowship. And what's great about applying for the Virtual Leadership Institute is that you can also be considered to be an Atlas Core Fellow. Now, what a complete fellowship application includes, and this is also the scholarship application too, is your employment history, professional skills, essay questions, and 2 references. Again, those are all aspects that you'll have to submit for the Virtual Leadership Institute. But I would say for the fellowship, what's more important is that you focus on that skill section and really demonstrating the past skills that you have within the social impact sector, whether that be in program management or monitoring and evaluation or communications and marketing. Again, if you're also applying for the fellowship as well as the institute, make sure that you have a strong section where you're choosing your skills and explaining what you've done in quantitative terms to apply those skills in your work. And for the fellowship, our process is that top candidates will be invited to a Skype interview with our selection board. And you'll be, if you pass the interview, if you pass the application interview, then you'll be designated as semifinalist for the fellowship, which means you're eligible to be considered for placement with the host organization. Host organizations, they select the semifinalists who are the best fit for their available positions. So please note that the fellowship has a different emphasis than the Virtual Leadership Institute, and we typically look for stronger English for the fellowship since you'll be in an office 40 hours per week, and it'll all be in English. And then for the fellowship, another difference is that you must have the commitment to live on a basic stipend and return home after the fellowship is done, after you return from the United States. Virtual Leadership Institute scholars do also receive special consideration for the fellowship. So again, another great way to explore your interest in both the scholarship and the institute. Perfect. Well, if anyone else has any other questions, we're happy to answer them. And if not, that is okay. Perfect. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions right now, so I'm going to go ahead and thank you, Emmanuel, for posting the link. We encourage you to apply soon to become part of this Emerging Leaders Initiative. Very exciting opportunity. And remember that the deadline is October 31st. If you have any questions at all, feel free to email us at apply.atlascore.org. And you can see it here on the screen. So again, the email is apply@atlascore.org. Happy to answer any of your questions about this initiative. And I really want to thank Mark and Emmanuel for being here today, for sharing their remarks, and Emmanuel for sharing his experience with the Virtual Leadership Institute. I'm very excited to send this out to our other interested applicants who weren't able to be here on the live call today. And I really appreciate your interest in joining our initiative and being a scholar for the Virtual Leadership Institute. And we really look forward to reading your applications. So I hope everyone has a great evening, great day. And again, feel free to email us with any questions. Perfect. All right. Goodbye, everyone.